Crossroads. Each crossroads story is based on the actual experiences of American clergymen, pastor, priest, or rabbi, the men who give inspiration and guidance to people at the crossroads of life. These dramatic stories are presented with the cooperation of our Board of Advisors, Captain Maurice M. Witherspoon, Father George B. Ford, and Dr. William F. Rosenblum. Now for our story.
Come in, please.
We have an unexpected visitor, Prexy.
Connie. Nice to see you again.
She said she had to see you. You were the only one who could help her.
Sounds ominous, Mrs. Corson.
It is, President Cox. I don't know what to do. I've thought of everything.
Sit down, Connie. You've done the right thing coming here asking for God's help and not just mine. Tell us about it. What kind of trouble is it?
The worst kind. I made it myself. Jerry, that's my husband. We drove in this morning from Arizona.
Well, honey, this looks like the last of them. The Willises are officially moved in.
Just take them on into the bedroom, Jerry. I'll unpack them later. You're going to have to hurry.
Hey, you know, you're right. If I got to be there at 1200, I better get out of here. Where's my orders?
Here they are. Who is it? I hope you won't give the duty officer the impression you're in a hurry to go to Japan. We like having you here.
That makes it unanimous, too.
Hello, Connie. It's been a long time. I was hoping you'd say it's been too long.
It's too long to start that again. I'm married. I'm happy. All I want you to do is leave me alone.
Your husband's going to Japan. Yeah, one of your neighbors in Arizona told me about it. Might even be 6 months before they'll let you join him over there.
It might be.
You were going to wait 6 months for me once, remember? Then they let me out. No, Connie. You might get lonesome again.
I didn't get lonesome, Jim. I got smart. I've had enough. It still goes. I don't want to see you again.
That's too bad, because I want to see you. I took a rap for you once. All I have to do is write a letter to a certain chief of police and tell him what he's always wanted to know about the woman who was with me on that job. You know, where he can find her.
I didn't do anything.
I did, and you were my accomplice. Sweetie, I've already served my time. Now, things are looking real good for me, so that's when I started thinking about you. Yeah, we can start working together again.
I'm not working.
Oh, but you will be, because I've got something all lined up for us. I'll call you day after tomorrow. That'll give me time to case the job.
I can't just walk out of here. I'd have to tell my husband something.
That's right. But you'll think of something. What do you want me to think for both of us?
You know why I think you should help me, President Cox. You and Dean Corson did everything you could for me when I was a student here. I've got an awful nerve coming to you now. I made this trouble myself. If I'd only listened to what Dean Corson had told me.
Connie, I'm not all that profound. When I tried to correct you, you were Well, you were one of 100 girls. And you weren't the only one who ever caused me trouble. I don't recall our exact words, but it's certainly possible they weren't inspired.
I'd like to disagree with both of you. None of us failed, Connie. As long as you knew where to come to when you were in trouble. From my viewpoint, that is all the success that God would allow me to enjoy with any student. That they trust me.
But I don't know what you can do for me. Bannister says he'll see that I go to jail if I don't do what he wants me to. I believe him.
Let's examine that first, Connie. I'm sure that you understand, as president of this college and an ordained minister, that I can't presume to forgive a debt to society if that debt was incurred. What did you and Bannister do out in Arizona?
I met him right after you sent me home, President Cox. I was looking for a thrill, I guess. We ran around with a pretty wild bunch of kids, did things just for kicks. Then Bannister, Jim, said it was time we got to turn pro, got a real charge. The other kids were scared, but I wanted to show Jim that I was his kind of girl. I drove him to the liquor store that he was going to hold up. He went inside, and I sat there with the engine running. I saw a policeman coming. I was afraid. I got out of the car, and I ran. The officer saw me, but he was never able to identify me. Jim got caught in the store and went to jail.
We'll have to contact that police department and see if the charge is still open.
I can't go to jail. My husband, if he finds out what sort of girl I was, I don't know what he'd do. My baby, what will happen to her?
We know what will happen to her. If we allow Bannister to use this to force you to help him in new crimes, you can't cure one debt by making others.
I came here because I wanted your help.
I heard that, Connie, but you came to the wrong place. What's the matter? Didn't you think I'd follow you?
That's enough. You're Jim Bannister, aren't you?
That's right.
I understand you steal for a living. I have a wallet in my pocket with quite a lot of money. Take it. Go on, take it. A man doesn't have to have any scruples where he steals from. Take it.
Don't push me too far, Mr. Cox.
Jim, don't. He's a minister.
Doesn't matter what I am. It's what I have in my wallet. I was the Marine Corps pilot during the last war. Just pretend you're rolling another soldier. Forget I'm a minister.
You know, there's some things that even I can't do. Now get out of my way because I don't want to hurt you.
Excuse us, please. I'd like to talk to Mr. Bannister alone. Sit down, Jim. Smoke if you like.
So how come you're not yelling for the police? Afraid she'll get into trouble? She will, you know.
I don't think we'll need an officer, Bannister. Your entrance was a little unceremonious. And what I've heard from Connie about you is not very flattering. I have no charges to prefer against you. I just want to talk to you about what you're doing to Connie.
So go ahead, talk.
Jim, Connie had a bad start. But she's come a long way since then.
So?
Now, look, I'm not going to let her slide back to where she was. Or I'm not going to let you pull her back. You understand?
Yeah, you're declaring war. Well, that's all right with me, Mr. Cox. Praise the Lord and keep your powder dry.
Just a minute. I'm not finished.
You're finished.
Now, you've just seen some film showing you several men, one of whom may be the man we want. Now, all of you here have seen this man at least once. That's when he robbed you. Can you identify anyone you saw in this film?
I don't know. That last man you showed us, I don't know, but there was something about him. He could be the one.
Well, I don't think so.
He looked something like that, didn't he?
Maybe, but wasn't that good looking.
What is this, a beauty contest? I say he's the man who held us up.
Well, I say he isn't. And I'm your cashier, and I ought to know.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to you as soon as we develop anything further on the case. Well, that's one infallible thing about eyewitnesses, Doctor. If you've got more than one, you're in trouble. No two people ever see the same thing.
I suppose it is possible that Bannister couldn't have robbed all these people.
Well, a policeman learns to respect his hunches. Now, when you described Bannister to me, it sort of rang a bell. I'd heard that same physical rundown from every one of those robbery victims, most of them from auction houses.
The description could fit a lot of men, couldn't it?
Yes, a lot. But we've been watching this boy ever since he hit town. I've even had his hotel room shaken down, and I like my hunch. I like it even more now that I know Bannister's interest in the Apex auction house. It may be just a coincidence that the auction house is open tonight, the night that Bannister arranged for his girl to be at the hotel at 9 o'clock to go on a job. But the man that we want has been making a career out of auction houses all over this city.
What are we going to do? What are we going to tell Connie?
Well, it may be taking a chance, but I'd like her to keep her date with Bannister. Now, naturally, I can't promise anything. That Arizona charge against her will have to be settled by the Arizona authorities.
I understand.
I can tell you this. If she cooperates with us, and if we pick up Bannister, I think it will do a great deal to convince the authorities that Connie has rehabilitated herself without going to prison.
I'll tell her that.
All right, Jim. I'll be there.
Make it 9 p.m. sharp here at my hotel room 312. Oh, this job will be a pushover. They're selling out some movie star's mansion, so there'll be a lot of money. Now, look, sweetheart, don't keep me waiting.
I won't. Dr. Cox, it's Connie. I just heard from Bannister. I'm meeting him at his hotel at 9 tonight. The job is set. Tell the police. He said something about a movie star's mansion being sold out, a lot of money. My baby's crying. I'll have to go now. Jerry?
What can I do for you, honey? Want me to help you with the dishes?
They're done.
Well, I'm a helpful swab. I'm sorry, honey. Something's on your mind, Connie. Well, let's have it.
Jerry, I've got a date tonight.
Well, that's nice. Anyone I know?
I'm serious. You know, I went to school out here at Pacific College. Well, I got to thinking about the school today, and I called the Dean of Women, Dean Corson. And we chatted for a while, and then she invited me out to her house. I'm afraid I said I'd come.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'll drive you over.
Well, what about Linda? She's asleep.
Yeah, that's right. Well, she can cork off in the car crib just as easily as she can in the bedroom. I'll get her.
I don't want to drag her out, Jerry.
Why? A little night air isn't going to hurt her.
Well, her ear's been bothering her. I think it's just silly for you to have to drive me a couple of miles.
Well, it was just a neighborly suggestion. I didn't think it'd make so much difference to you.
Do you want to call Mrs. Corson and find out if that's where I'm really going? Is that what you're driving at?
Now, honey, what kind of a remark is that? Of course I'm not going to call Mrs. Corson.
Well, if you don't trust me.
Why shouldn't I trust you? You're a good driver. The car's insured, isn't it? Hello? Yes, this is Captain Willis speaking. Yes, sir. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Hate to foul up your plans, sweetie, but that's the duty officer at the airbase.
Jerry, you're not leaving tonight.
No, assistant duty officer turned up with a hot appendix, and they want someone to take his place. Transient officers take turns, and it's my turn tonight. Sorry, but I guess you can call it off with Mrs. Corson, though.
I think Mrs. Corson will understand.
Okay, bye.
sorry I'm late.
5 minutes isn't going to make any difference tonight. It's a dry run. I just wanted to see if you'd take orders.
You mean we're not going out? I went through all that?
All what? I'm curious to know what you went through, Connie, and who you talked to.
I haven't talked to anyone.
Oh? Except Mr. Cox?
Except Mr. Cox.
Well, I don't like your friends.
It's too bad.
Yeah, too bad. I guess I should cultivate people like that. They got a lot of good connections with the police.
Police?
Look, Connie, I'm no amateur. I can smell a cop a block away. They've been in here shaking down my room. Every time I turn around, I see a guy in a pork pie hat. Different guys, different hats, but they're all cockeyed and watching me without looking at me.
I don't know what you're saying.
I'm hot, Connie, and I know how I got hot. And I know who to thank. You and Mr. Cox. Now you get out of here. You tell your friends to call off the police because they're wasting their time. Just a minute. I'll get in touch with you, sweetie. And you can count on that.
Telephone message was from Mrs. Corson. She's heard from Connie. Bannister evidently got suspicious and called everything off.
What do we do now?
Go home? You know, Doctor, we've been after this guy for a long time. I told you he was a sharp operator. This will give you some idea of just how sharp he really is.
We got work to do.
But you said the police were watching you. You didn't want to walk into a police trap.
I've changed my mind. You know, you're really wired in. I tell you the deal's off and send you home, and the police call it a night. It's a good arrangement. I guess I got you to thank for that. Now, come on, get your coat.
What am I going to do about the baby?
What'd you do before?
I left her with the motel manager's wife.
Well, take her back.
Well, they're probably asleep by now.
Well, wake them up.
No answer. Are you sure she called you from home?
The minute she got home, she told me.
Strange you're going out again. Doesn't make sense. Maybe it makes too much sense. May I speak to Inspector Howard, please? Inspector Howard, this is Dr. Cox. I thought you'd want to know that Mrs. Willis is going out again tonight. I don't know, but sometimes even a minister has to play a hunch, Inspector. You said Bannister was a sharp operator. I'd hate to think he was too sharp. Right. I'll meet you there. Come on. I'm taking you to an auction.
Our switchboard will keep calling that Willis number every 3 minutes. And if Connie does come home, we find out this is a false alarm, we'll know about it right away.
How long do you think the auctioneer will stay open?
11:30, maybe later. I guess it depends on how the customers are bidding.
They give Bannister quite a lot of time.
Not too much. While we're sitting around here for an hour and a half, he could be driving the other side of town, hit some auctioneer over there. The only thing we know for certain about him is that he knows he's hot. But if he's smart enough to figure that out, sitting around here could be a waste of time.
I should have anticipated this. When a minister starts playing hunches, it's time you remember the power of prayer.
Well, that's your department, Doctor. I'm going to call downtown, see what they can tell us. Well, I can tell you this much about your hunch or your prayer, Doctor. Bannister's not at his hotel. Desk clerk says he left shortly after 9 o'clock. Connie Willis still doesn't answer her phone, and the robbery detail reports no activity at any other auctioneers in town. So like the horse players say, we're still alive.
That auctioneer stays open till 11:30. We've got about 20 minutes to live.
Now remember, don't make a move till you see me come out that door. You be rolling, I'll jump in.
Connie, get out of here quick. Go over to my car. It's parked right over there. Hurry up.
Call the cops. Oh, there he goes. Hey, stop that guy.
Connie, what the...
I wouldn't try that if I were you, Bannister. Just give me that gun and put your hands behind your head.
Oh, you're a real cute guy, Mr. Cox. I hope you plan to visit your friend Connie in prison. You can take her some goodies on visiting day.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bannister. I don't know anyone by the name of Connie. Inspector, you know anybody by that name?
Connie Willis.
Never heard of her.
Well, the chief of police in Arizona...
Funny thing, I talked to the chief. He doesn't know anybody by that name. Get out.
I'll leave this to you now, Inspector. I have to drive a lady home.
Let's go. Let's go.
Connie, is that you, honey?
Joe's home. What will I tell him?
I'll save you the anxiety, Connie. I already told him.
What did he say?
Let him tell you.
I'd almost given her up, Prexy. Before she came to your office yesterday, when I thought about her at all, it was just to wonder how badly she'd turned out. I'd given her up.
God hadn't. Let us pray that the Arizona authorities will overlook and understand her only youthful mistake.
Stories for Crossroads are selected by our Board of Advisors, Captain Maurice M. Witherspoon, Father George B. Ford, and Dr. William F. Rosenblum.